In recent news, this conversation has been recurring, whether it's in video games or film and TV. Most recently, it's come up with, God of War, Lossy, Supergirl on the DC film side of things. And that is where, obviously, Supergirl was a massive failure, but it's not the first of its kind. We saw the same thing happen with, Furiosa, Ballerina, and so on. These IPs that were generally male IPs attempting to appease a female audience. And we're seeing something similar happen with, video games as well. There was this, meme being passed around on Twitter a few months ago, listing all the video game IPs that were male-led that have now been transformed into a female-centered character, trying to appease a female audience. I'll try and find it if I can. But all this to say, people are noticing or recognizing that there is a concerted effort to try to transform these entertainment mediums. And that's the question that I believe is surfacing in people's minds. Not just the transformation of these IPs, but also looking at the performance. If you look at Supergirl, it's underperformed. So did Furiosa, so did Ballerina. Ghost of Yoti, despite what people may think, is in fact a failure. No company greenlights a video game sequel to sell less units than the prior title. And the mere fact that they have not come out in celebration with those numbers to say this has sold how many millions more than Ghost of Tsushima, that means that it has sold, at the minimum, it's sold below expectations, right? And so the question arises, if it is that these products are not profitable, why is it that we keep getting them? And as I saw that question constantly reprise itself on social media, I thought, maybe I'd put up a video to try to answer that, because no one appears to be tackling that question at all, right? We're asking the right questions, but no one seems to be interested in what the answer might be. So if these video game IP and titles that are being transformed to be, to have a mass appeal to the normie audience, or particularly the female audience, because that really is the goal in these transformations. But if it is that the movies and the games that they're putting out to have this done are not profitable, why is it that we keep getting more? Why is it they've now greenlit God of War Lofi in the face of all the failures before that, right? Look, Last of Us 2 is also another good example, because despite its critical success in terms of sales units, it has sold less than the first Last of Us game. And because there is something to be said about the male protagonist and who that is appealing to, which is the male audience, which is the large demographic of who video gamers are. And so if it is that these attempts to spotlight and center these female characters, whether it's movies or games, if it is that keeps failing and they are losing money, why is it they keep greenlighting more and more of these projects? Simple answer, it's not very simple at all, is video games and film and TV have now been transformed into a marketing tool. The sole purpose of these two industries, it's no longer the art form that you once remembered. Its sole purpose now is to sell you a product, but not the product that you think it is, which is interesting. So God of War Love it's not being made to sell you God of War games. It's not, right. The Supergirl film was not made to sell you the Supergirl film. That's not the product. In order to sufficiently tackle this, it's important that the gamers specifically understand the people who are managing these mega corporations, the Disney's, the Discovery, Warner Brothers, and so on, right? The mega corporations managing these assets are the names that you never really hear about, right? So, BlackRock, we've all seen the clip of where Larry Fink has, publicly stated what his coordinated agenda really is.
You have to force behaviors. And if you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Right, but there's also Vanguard and State Street, right? I believe collectively these three asset management firms manage over $30 trillion. And they do have, a hand in almost every industry that you can think of, including music, film, video games. And gamers need to recognize that these mega corporations in the background, they don't think in terms of immediate profit. And they're not thinking, okay, how much money did this game make this year or next year? They think in terms of 10 years, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. How much will this be worth 50 years from now? And so that's the perspective that I think gamers desperately need to shift to not think so much like a consumer and think more like an asset manager, and how exactly these products that they're putting out, how exactly is this being used as a marketing tool to ensure that they get to their objectives. So the product, if the product not being sold is these IPs, it's not God of War, it's not DC, it's not Marvel. Those aren't the actual products. But what is the product actually being pushed? Because for marketing to be effective, it has to result in sales, an increase in sales somewhere, right? And if it is that the intention is not with the IPs, where exactly is it intended? That, I believe, is in a lifestyle. I know that seems a very broad thing to say, and I'll get into the details in that momentarily. But the idea here with these video games is to sell a particular lifestyle. And again, as I've said, the female audience really is the target, because these companies have done their research and they've realized that women, I believe, they make 70 to 80% of the household spending decisions. All right, so women are the ones who go out and spend. And ironically, historically, women weren't allowed to have bank accounts for the very reason that they're very frivolous with money. But the very companies that are now benefiting from this were the ones who ushered in that change to give women more control over those expenses. And so they've done the research and they've seen what it presents, and it paints a picture that women are the ones who will spend the money. They're more easily influenced by marketing and trends and so on. And you can see that on TikTok, Instagram, and so on. So the purpose of the gaming industry, Hollywood and film and TV, it's really to sell the product of a lifestyle, and that lifestyle is the girl boss lifestyle. So the reason that you keep seeing these characters repeatedly in media and entertainment is because that is the product. Now, how exactly is that product profitable? Really, right? It's just a lifestyle, and how exactly is selling a story of a woman. You've all seen the I forget which TV show it is. It's been surfing on Twitter with these two military personnel. One of apparently a female commander, but they're both women, having a disagreement on a military base because apparently that's how women think men settle conflict on a daily basis. Very interesting. But again, the purpose of it is to sell a lifestyle. It's to sell the idea that this is this is how women should behave and carry themselves. Well, in terms of what the benefit, what the monetary value is in that, it is the byproducts, right? When a woman sees this story, or even a young girl watches this TV show, she sees that I am strong, I am powerful, I am a career woman, I can do this. And so she goes out and she takes a loan for thousands of dollars to go to a college or some institution that will place her in debt. And you can imagine who owns that debt at the end of it. Now, a woman watches, Last of Us and believes that she's a girl boss, or she plays God of War Lofty, and it plants that seed in her mind that, women are these tough girl boss, career driven individuals. Then, they will go out and buy the expensive suits and the expensive makeup and the expensive cologne, and they'll become these wine moms. It's surprisingly, women are drinking more now than any other time in history. And again, follow the money, right? They're also on antidepressants, more now than at any point that we've been tracking it. They have more anxiety. They've now taken to use therapy as a chapter in their diary, right? Versus what people used to do before. And so whether it's the clothing industry or big pharma that is profiting immensely from this, this idea that is being sold, this lifestyle that is being sold to these women, the profits are not being made in the film and TV industry or the gaming industry. It's being made elsewhere because these asset management firms have control over all these industries. And so whenever you see that there's a loss from Supergirl failing or bombing, for them it's simply a marketing expense, right? Whether it succeeds or fails is irrelevant. The message is what is important. And so you keep getting these depictions of women because let's flip it. If it is that you had film, video games, and TV shows depicting women as, housewives who are, helpmates to their husband, and they defer to their husband to make monetary and spending decisions, then these companies would have nothing to collect because men are infinitely better at managing money. And you'd think it would be the otherwise, right? Because a lot of media sort of paints men as reckless with spending habits and buying expensive and frivolous things and yachts and all these. But those are men who are at a particularly high level, and they spend, some of them wastefully. But in general, men are good at spending or not spending money because they have to plan for a future, right? There's a burden of performance on men in that way that women just are not. And so if our stories encouraged women to behave in that manner where they would defer to men who don't spend money, then that would impact these companies negatively because they do need women to spend. They need women to be in debt because that is to their benefit. And so they'll continue to sell this idea that that women need to be these girl bosses. They need to go into debt, go into college. They need to look the part as a career girl boss. So, which means that they will, buy all these clothing lines. They will buy these expensive handbags. They'll buy the expensive makeup and the cologne. And at the end of it, they will start drinking. One of the industries that's taking off right now is, you know, pet ownership, right? Owning small dogs and all the accessories and things that goes with it. And you don't hear about it often, but if you look into it, it's a booming industry. And all of this comes from, you know, the woman not having a family. Again, because of this girl boss messaging that's been pushed. So there is a benefit to these companies to encourage women to adopt this lifestyle, this career girl boss lifestyle, because the profits aren't in the industry, in the film and gaming industry. Those are simply tools to sell the idea, to sell the lifestyle. The actual revenue is generated elsewhere, where these women then go out and you know, having believed this message that they've received, they will go out and take out a loan, follow the career girl boss path, and at the end of it, they will be met with, you know, all these additional expenses to sort of fill that void that they've been left with. And at the end of that, that's where these companies collect that revenue, and it's a continual cycle. So whenever this conversation comes up, it's important to keep that in mind. Again, I wish this was something people were talking about more often. I'm a small channel, of course, but there are people who have much more influence than I do, and I think it should be obvious at this point, right? For enough for someone to call this out, but hopefully, you know that people are asking the right questions, so we are heading in the right direction, I think. No, the question that remains is how exactly do we address this? Is there a way to fix it? And again, as usual with my videos, I firmly believe that the solution is the stories, and I continue to have to say that because that is what these mega corporations have understood. They recognize that the stories are what drives people to action, to do certain things, to make the decisions that they make on a daily, weekly, even, which is why you see this nostalgia push within the entertainment industry. Whether it's Disney or Warner Brothers, nothing new is being made. It's just a rehash of things that you've experienced in the past, because they recognize that those memories that you have early on are enough to get you to buy a product. And those are stories. Those are the stories that will influence you in one direction or another. So these corporations have realized a long time ago how important stories are. Unfortunately, I don't think the public has caught on to that just yet, but it's important. It's important to recognize that. And so the solution to it is it's simple and complicated at the same time. The solution is we need to write stories to counter that. Really, this has been decades in the making. As I said at the very start of the video, these corporations don't think in terms of years; they think in terms of decades. And they have the resources to make it happen. You, the individual, unfortunately, we can't. We're not a corporation. We can't think in terms of decades, and we don't have the resources to do that, to wait that long. We think in the here and now, the immediate. How does something make us feel? How does it impact our lives here and now? And so that's where we have to start. And I, as I've said many times in my other videos, it starts with writing. We need to shift the story to counter the lifestyle that is being pushed in the Hollywood, machine and video gaming, particularly the ones targeting women, because there's a reason women are being targeted, because they are easily influenced in that way. They're susceptible to groupthink and marketing and trends and hysteria. And, men, unfortunately, that is your burden to sort of balance that. And guide women in the correct direction. And stories is one way in which we used to do that, which is why you've seen a lot. There's this huge attempt to erase masculinity from a lot of these stories, because that is the counter to it. That is what is absent from the culture at the moment and the stories at the moment. And so the only way to fix this, because it is a cultural problem, but the only way to fix this, because video games and movies, these are all stories. And the only way to change that is to write stories that are more traditional, that highlight male masculinity, men being the protagonists, men being heroes. That's the best way, in my mind, to help to counter this narrative that's being pushed. And in that way, we can have some chance of combating the propaganda that these corporations are pushing using video games and TV. And so once they start to deconstruct the protagonist in that way, and again, even in Pragmata, the protagonist is not allowed to be the hero. He was only able to take down these machines because of what the little girl could actually do. And a lot of this is not, it's not coincidental. It's very much intentional, right? It's this idea that you've seen pushed in video games so often now, and particularly in movies and TV, where the hero is not capable of being heroic without a woman giving him the power to do that. You've seen it happen so many times. Even in the upcoming Clayface DC movie or a TV, I think whether it's a movie or a TV show. Looking at the trailer and the Clayface's actual origin story, where this was purely accidental, but in this new iteration, it is the woman who gives him the ability to become Clayface. And again, as I've said, this is not coincidental. You've seen it enough times where you can recognize it. The human mind is a pattern recognition machine. If something seems off to you, it's because you're recognizing something is wrong. But that is the rhetoric that you've seen in a lot of Hollywood movies now. We all remember the "We Are the Flash" meme from the Flash TV show, right? And you've seen it happen in the recent Superman movie as well. It's the constant push for the male heroism to be deconstructed. He-Man presented the same problem, where the male character cannot be a hero without effectively permission from a woman to get there, because that's what it boils down to. The woman has to give him her agency in some way for him to be a hero. But as I said before, these games and films and TV shows, they are merely a marketing tool to push the actual product. And the product being pushed is simply this lifestyle and ideology that these corporations need women to buy into, because that is how they get women to spend. Right, to spend on all these expensive items and this career-driven girl boss lifestyle, and that's where the real revenue is, right? Whatever losses they may encounter in gaming and film TV, that is just a rounding error for these companies. It's just a marketing expense that they just write off and they move on to the next, and that is why you will continually receive this type of messaging in your games. This female-focused gaming and female-focused film and TV, because they have seen that women are frivolous with money and they are the ones who recklessly spend, and they want to ensure that remains the same. That women stay the course where that is concerned, and they will continually receive money from those women. And the only way to counter that, again, as I've said, is the story. The story is a reflection of the culture, and we fix the stories and we fix the culture. All right, guys, that is it for today. I have a few other ideas for some topics. I'll try to get to them as best as I can, but thanks very much for stopping by, and I'll see you for the next one.